What's up, everybody? Time for a brand new feature premiere. Welcome back to those who watched us before, and welcome to our new fans, especially our Xbox fans. We've got 6 full episodes all the way to launch. Episode 1 was last week. We was joined by Kyle Saul. We talked about pitching and hitting. Today's episode is all about fielding. Then next week, we're going to talk about ball player. The week after that, franchise. March to October, we still got to talk about next gen and Diamond Dynasty. We are not done. You can watch feature premieres every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific time on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Let's talk about fielding. I'm joined by none other than gameplay director of 23 years holding the studio down, Chris Gill. Chris, please introduce yourself and tell our fans a little bit about you.
You just did. I've been here 23 years. I'm an old man. Thanks for having me.
Man.
I feel like it sometimes. You know, I appreciate you having me. This never gets old, man. I love doing it. I love baseball and I love making a game, and I really enjoy this time of year and talking with you about it, breaking it down and getting this stuff out to consumers.
Right, and this is just an extension of your playing days, right? Making a baseball game in video game form.
Yeah, for the most part, I'm a baseball guy through and through. I played college baseball at Long Beach State, played with the Reds for about 5 years. Then I came back home and coached a few years in college back at Long Beach, and then scouted with the Reds for a couple years. So yeah, that is my background. Got an opportunity to come work here at Sony in '98. I took advantage of that and been here ever since, so loving it.
All right, so MLB The Show 20, when it comes to defense, outfield play, fielding, infield play, what do we learn, Chris?
We learned tons of stuff, Ramon. I mean, you know, every year we watch streamers play, and we're obviously playing the game as well. So, you know, we have tons of things to do every single year. We have to pick and choose what it is that we want to do. Our priorities this year, we're mainly fixing a lot of the issues that went out last year. We also knew that we were going to have a lot of newcomers coming in this year with the game being available on the new platforms, the Xbox and such. And so we wanted to really focus on the onboarding part of our game.
All right, so before we get into onboarding, what was the major or the main focus this year on defense?
So on defense was really just catching the ball in the outfield. I mean, I'm breaking it down, making it as simple as that. We had quite a few issues, and it's not just the outfield, it's infield play as well. We had to go in, take a serious look at how the game was playing and kind of revamp the user control player. So we focused mainly on user control. We wanted to make sure at the end of the day, it was in the user's hands and not the game's fault. So a lot of focus on fly ball catches, playing catches at and around the wall, super important, just running down balls in the outfield, and really just making it super intuitive and interactive for the user.
Let's talk about onboarding aids and onboarding for new users. Chris, let's talk about these because they're all new for MLB The Show 21, right?
Yeah, a lot of them are new. We've enhanced some of the stuff that's in our game already, but we really wanted to make a strong focus, like I said, for the newcomers to the game, all the new platforms the guys playing that are just going to be for first time going into MLB The Show. So we wanted to make it more intuitive and user friendly. We wanted to ease these guys into it, and essentially what we're trying to do is give them the ability to learn how to play our game. And you know, some of the things in our game, we have different mechanics for different levels, and that kind of lends itself to our new 3 different styles that we play, right? So we have the relax mode, the simulation, and the competitive. And I'll get more into that kind of stuff, but I think it's important that for these new users that are coming in, we give them the ability to learn how to play our game. And so what we did was we created a few new indicators. We're going to default you at the beginner level mode. So let's say you're playing relax mode and you go in, and we're going to start you off with the onboarding. We have a new route to ball indicator. We have a base for play indicator. We have a new catch ball indicator. We have enhanced tag up catch indicator, extreme catch indicator at the wall, new Rob home run indicator, throw accuracy meter's been adjusted. We have a routine fly ball catch indicator that basically just shows you that you've locked into a catch.
And you can turn all of these off if you're not new to the game. If you don't want to use them, they are all optional, right?
Absolutely. So you can go in at any time. We're going to default these on what we think they should be based on what you're playing. And then, yeah, you can go into the options and you can change them, adjust them however you want. And, you know, some of the guys that are experienced players like playing with some of these, what we're calling beginner mode type things, but it's really cool to see the route to ball indicator and those things on the field to kind of show you what you're doing right or wrong.
Right, and that's really important because as Kyle talked about last week with our new onboarding suite and gameplay styles, if you choose casual, all of this stuff will be turned on for you. So if you're a new player, you want to start in beginner mode and choose casual, and we're going to walk you through the game and teach you how to play and teach you all of these mechanics. All right, that's a lot of new onboarding and indicators. Gil, let's take a few minutes just to break down all of these new indicators real quick, starting with the trackball indicator.
The trackball indicator, as you can see on the screen right now when you're watching, that's essentially just showing you the route to the ball. So when the ball's hit, the CPU is always going to start you in a direction, and that line is going to be drawn directly to where you need to go run and make the catch. So it's pretty straightforward. You follow the line, you go make the catch. If you deviate off that line, you're going to get a little rumble feedback trying to get you back on the line. So it's nice to have that feedback to know, like, look, it's obvious that I should be staying on that line. Part of that route to ball indicator is we're going to have, if you get into a situation where there's a dive available, we will have a line toward the end of that when you need to jump. So that's when you're going to need to hit R2 to dive. It's pretty straightforward, and you'll see that too in these videos that we're showing you. That is going to be defaulted on in a casual mode. Base for play is another one that we're going to default on. This is really cool. Essentially, it's just a coach telling you where to throw the ball. So instead of having auto throwing on, which we did before with beginners, we're trying to teach you how to play the game. So we're showing you the icons of what base to throw to, and then along with the icon, the associated base. So if it's triangle, you're going to see second base is highlighted. If it's square, you're going to see third base is highlighted, so you know where to throw. And the third thing that we're defaulting on for casual is the trackball indicator. So we have 3 different trackball indicators, and the one that we're going to default on is basically the stationary one. So it's going to show you exactly where you need to run to go catch a fly ball. It's not going to drift and it's not going to track, so you'll know exactly where to go. So those are by default, we're going to have those on, and then we'll obviously have the ribbons that come off the wall. So when you hit the ball off the wall, we're going to display those ribbons. The tag up catch indicator is pretty straightforward. What we did with that this year is we added more logic. So as you can see there in the videos, you can see we put it in a position where you're going to want to get behind the ball. So it comes up situationally. Obviously, when guys are tagging up and guys are trying to score from third or from second, we're going to throw that indicator up and put you in better position. Now, Ramon, the coolest thing about this is we added tons of animations for tag up catches. People are going to love it. No matter what direction you come in at that tag ball indicator, we're going to pull you in and give you a nice catch that gives you a running start so you can get the most out of your throwing strength, depending on the attribute of that guy you're playing.
We've talked about a lot of the indicators. One of my favorite new ones, and you probably saw it in the first Coach and Tatis video, the new Rob home run and catch at the wall indicator. Chris, explain to us how that works.
I'm having so much fun just testing Rob home runs in the game. It's a blast. It's so much different than it was last year. And what I really love about it, let me explain, because I had a couple indicators in here. We have an extreme catch indicator that comes up at the wall, and we have a jump indicator. Now, those are 2 different things. You're specifically talking about robbing home runs. What's really cool now is we have 3 yellow arrows, a little bit more intuitive than what we had last year. And you see them now on the screen. You can see those as we're running those plays. They are timed to change to the green color each tick at a time. So when it gets to the 3rd green arrow, then you know it's time to jump. But the cool thing is we did a lot of logic enhancements with robbing home runs, and we took our animations and allowed you to jump into the animation at different times. Because Ramon, when you're playing, there's different timings of robbing home runs. It's not always the same every single time. So it's really important that we had to go in there and make sure that those rob home run catches were timed perfectly for when you're hitting that button. So whether you're hitting it a little early or a little bit late, you have to hit it right after that last green arrow. And the other really cool thing about it is this year, and you probably didn't even know this, the glove reaches over the wall now. So we got new animations, we adjusted them. So instead of going straight up, the arm will now reach over the wall and rob those home runs when applicable, right?
Oh, that's a great change.
Yeah, super stoked about that. And so we got a couple more indicators. Other than those, we have the extreme catch indicator that a lot of the guys that have played this game before are used to it, where we had those sinking line drives that would come on. It adds an element of suspense in the game. Should I go for it? Should I not? It's a high risk, high reward type play. And those essentially happen at the wall. So if I'm running and I'm trying to chase a ball down in the gap or over my head, and I see that red indicator come on at the wall, well, I have to make a decision then, right? Just like a real player does. I mean, I have to either try to go for it or I'm going to play that ball off the wall. And so it's really cool to see that and you having to make those decisions when you're in the game.
And that's an extension of a feature that we introduced last year, where last year the extreme catch indicator only showed up on those sinking line drives. Now you're saying it's going to show up at the wall as well?
It is, yeah. And we're just repurposing it. We're putting it there, and we're looking at the high risk, high reward type play. And if you go for it, it's those animations where you're going to crash into the wall.
Awesome.
Type animation.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll get into more of those catches here in a little bit.
All right, so let's talk about improvements to outfield play. And when we say improvements, is it more accurate to say there has been a complete fielding overhaul?
Yeah, there's been a complete fielding overhaul, and that started at the lower level. So without getting into too much detail about the things that we worked on code-wise, let's just talk about the things that we did that make the game more fun to play. I'm going to bring this up first, and it doesn't sound super exciting. If I said to you, Ramon, that strafing was really exciting to me, would you think that is something that's fun?
I think that's going to be very exciting for anybody that played the game last year and said, oh man, this ball hit the wall and it shot out and I'm running around and I can't catch it. Or I'm really scared what's going to happen if this ball hits the wall and I don't catch it on this first hop. So yeah, let's talk about strafing and off-wall setup.
This is really important, and I want to explain why. We redid the infield pop-up strafing, so if your infielder's camped under a ball, and we redid the outfield pop-up strafing, so if he's camped under a ball and you start moving your guy around, we basically got a more athletic, more fluid, able to transition into catches. The logic changed, the animations changed, and they smoothly transition back and forth, so it becomes more efficient. And that, along with all the catches that we added, make it for really smooth gameplay. That's cool. But the coolest thing about strafing is what we did with playing the ball off the wall. Ramon, do you remember, like, if you would go set up at the wall, you had to be perfect, and if you weren't perfect, you were kind of, bad things were going to happen.
Yeah, it was no man's land where the ball hits and it squirts and your guy's just running around like crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So what we did is we had to figure out a way to let the user, adjust in small increments. If I needed to move to the right, left, up, back, right? Because when you go let off the stick and you're playing the ball off the wall, you're trying to line up with those ribbons that we're displaying. And if you're off just like 5-10 feet to the right or left, and then you move the stick, the guy would just take off running. And now you're literally, it's like a circus. You're trying to run that ball down somehow and catch it. Okay, so this year it's different. We added strafing to that position. So when I go set up at the wall, I can move up, back, right, left, and we have catches playing off the wall. Hundreds of catches that we did. And did I tell you already that we got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of new animations, and literally the majority of them are catches?
That's awesome. And what's really important that you mentioned, the strafing, this is done for you. And once you get close enough to the wall, he's going to break down and he's going to strafe for you. And as you're moving that stick left to right, they're going to be moving laterally. And like you said last year, if that ball hits the wall and squirted out, he just takes off running full speed. Now you basically have an outfielder who's broken down and you can strafe to the left and to the right like you talked about.
Yeah. It just makes something clear. You said it's happening for you. Well, the CPU's not doing it for you. You have to do it. But when you move the stick, we're making the assumption that you just want to move a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, just to line up with that ball, right? And so obviously, if you don't line up anywhere near where that ball's going to come off, then you're not going to strafe. You're going to run. But it doesn't matter because it doesn't apply in those situations. So yeah, you are strafing on your own.
That's awesome. So we've talked about off-wall setup and strafing. Now let's get into off-wall catches, which is different. It's not a setup. Now let's talk about off-the-wall catches. What changes went in this year to make off-wall catches better and more efficient for the end user?
Yeah, so there's two different types of catches. So if you want to look at it this way, you're either running toward the wall when the ball comes off the wall, or you're set up and you're either strafing or you're set up perfectly and you're exactly where you want to be. Okay, so there's a lot that goes into this. All of the animations that we captured to facilitate both of those situations. Let's start with running. If the ball is just smoked and I'm running back as fast as I can to go catch that ball, it hits off the wall. So no matter what angle, let's just say I'm playing in a place like San Francisco where you got some weird angles, hard brick up there, and the ball can ricochet off at a weird angle. We have every direction that you could possibly come at the ball going back toward the wall, every direction catch, every height, running and stationary catch, right? So here's what's cool. In all the catches that we did, we made sure that the catch is going to explain to the user what he did right or wrong. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not fully. So let me explain. So what I'm saying is, if I don't line up with that catch, we're going to play an animation that shows you weren't lined up with the catch, right? So if I'm running toward a ball that's coming off the wall and it's not near me, we're going to show the guy reach out and try to catch it. We call those our phantom catches. So we're basically telling you, you took a bad route to that ball. You couldn't catch it. The cool thing is if you get anywhere near where that ball is, you're going to play a catch. That's how many catches we have. So you literally would have to be like 20 feet away from the ball for one of those phantoms to play, right? Or it's just unreachable. So running toward the wall, we have all those heights, all to the right, to the left. And then from the stationary position, like if you were strafing or set up at the wall, we have all the animations that you need to go get the ball. So fundamentally, when you're playing a ball off the wall, you always want to go get the ball if you can. Our animations will take you to the ball instead of, I don't know if you remember, like just playing the game in the years past, sometimes those bounces, you'd be sitting there waiting for it. You're like, come on, come on. Now we'll go get it, right? So the player will go get the ball, and that makes it really efficient. Allows you to get the ball, get it to the relay guy, and make a play at a base. The other cool thing is, if you set up too close to the wall, we have eat-up animation. So if you get too close to the wall, those eat-up animations will make you either bobble the ball or take longer to play. So it's really important that you put yourself in good position when you're playing near the wall.
Okay, and that elaborates you picking up the ball after you miss it, right? We're going to play an animation that you know, hey, you took a bad route, the guy reaches, and that's to give you information that you did something wrong, and then picking up the ball after you miss it.
Yeah, well, picking up the ball after you miss it, well, that's a good point. If you do get eaten up and the ball lands at your feet, or let's say I'm trying to rob a home run and it bounces off my glove and it goes down at my feet, I think a lot of people that have played our game know that we've had some issues in the past of just picking up the ball. And all that does is allow the base runner to take an extra base, right? He's gaining steps as you're sitting there trying to figure out how to pick up the ball and you're running your guy around. Well, I want to make sure everybody understands how much work we put into this. It seems very simple, straightforward that you'd be able to fix something like that, but it took a lot of work. And so part of this overhaul of fielding that we did, that's a big part of it. And so picking up that ball efficiently after you make a miss, or after you miss the ball, makes the game more realistic, and it makes it feel like, you know, it's on you as the user. It's the game's not punishing me for these things.
All right, we're talking about outfield play. So much work has been done already. We've talked about so much. We've really broken down off-wall setup. We've broken down off-wall catches. Now let's talk about catching the ball at the wall, rob home run catches, and those jump catches at the wall where you can still make a spectacular play even if it might not be a home run. So Gil, what's been done to that area of the game for MLB The Show 21?
Yeah, so we wanted to go into the motion capture studio and make sure that we covered all areas around the player when he's standing at the wall. You know, Ramon, like when you were playing in my office, and we've done this a few times, you'd get so frustrated when that ball would just bounce like 5 feet to your right or to your left. And you'd always say, come on, can we get more catches for this, please?
Yep.
He would. So I had to listen to Ramon, or else, you know, he's bigger than me, so I had to make sure that I got those catches. No, but on all seriousness, we went in and we looked at that situation specifically where those arrows might come up on the screen to show you that you're either going to have to jump, but if they don't and you see the ball marker that's just under that height, just above your head where you know you're gonna have to reach up and catch it, we made sure we got catches not only straight above, which is all we had pretty much last year. We have to the right, to the left. We have 1 step to the right, 1 step to the left, 2 steps to the right, 2 steps to the left. So we're covering this range at all heights, from reaching up to all the way down by your waist, of catching all those balls. So when the ball comes down, instead of that ball just boinking off the wall and your player really not animating at all, and you're wondering why didn't he try to make that catch, you don't have to be exactly perfect when you line up at the fence.
That's awesome. And we've already discussed the new wall indicators that are at the wall now too to help. And again, everything that the design team's always trying to do is give you the information you need to be able to succeed and make the right play. So when the right play doesn't happen, hopefully it's on you and not us. So let's talk about another huge area, off Z-axis catches. First of all, what in the heck is an off Z-axis catch, and how many of them did we add, and what does this bring to the game?
This is probably one of my favorite things in the game, and I know I've said that already, but I like a lot of it because I'm so happy with the way that the game's playing this year. The off-Z-axis catches are basically a fancy way of saying that we have catches that will come off the line that you're running in. So the direction that you're running in, if you're running too steep for a ball or too shallow for a ball, will come off of that angle and make a catch for you. So I think it's important to understand that not everybody is perfect when they're trying to run down a ball in the gap or down the line. Yeah, I know better. I know better. We created that route to ball just for you, man. You're going to be all over that thing. Trust me. Yeah, well, no, I mean, it's a good point. The route to ball indicator is actually, like I said before, it's like a teaching tool. And so what we did with these off-Z-axis catches, and again, we got hundreds of catches, because when I say hundreds of catches, you guys got to realize that we're getting catches at all heights and at all angles and directions. So we have to be able to facilitate that. We don't move the ball to your glove. We literally have to have enough catches to facilitate wherever that ball is physically. Some of the videos that you're going to see as this is running through, you're going to see the guys coming off of their line that they're running. And what ends up happening is situationally, it allows you to play behind the ball a little bit more. So when I say situationally, like, you know, Ramon, if you have toward the end of the game and you're trying to play it safe and you're trying to not give up any doubles, right? Because the guy at the plate might beat the tying run. So you want to play those safer and you want to play it deeper. If I'm running too deep in years past, you're just going to run right past the ball. This year, he'll cut off that angle and he'll catch the ball. So essentially, we want you to run straight at the ball and have the best route ever. But if you are slightly off, we have catches that come off that angle. And it works really well for tag up catches as well. It's one of those things, you're going to learn how to play this game a little bit different now. And these types of catches are going to help facilitate those types of situations.
There it is. So we've talked a lot about outfield play. Outfield catches at the wall, off the wall, setup catches, strafing, robbing home runs. We've covered almost everything, but we haven't talked a lot about infield play. What about infield plays where I run by the ball on a routine play?
We talked about the off-Z-axis catches, and this play might sound simple, but the little dribblers out in front of the plate are a problem play. Part of that is because of the point of view that you're playing in, and the camera view that you're playing in. It's hard to know when your pitcher breaks off the mound, the angle that he's taken to some of those dribblers. And a lot of times I've seen people, and I've done it myself, where you run just right by the ball. Those off-Z-axis catches now are going to pull you off of that line and into the ball to make the play. So the cool thing is, now that we have the route to ball indicator, you can see exactly where you should be running. With the off-Z-axis catches, you're going to make the catch no matter what, as long as you're within reason of where you're attacking that ball. Okay. And so you won't be frustrating anymore for a lot of those players trying to make those simple plays. Elaborating on that a little bit more, those off-Z-axis catches are happening with infielders across the board. So on any ground ball that I'm taking too steep of a route, so if I'm going in the hole or if I'm going up the middle, I'm taking not a direct route to the ball, then we're going to pull you in and make catches. And like I said, we have all different heights for all those catches. So if I'm reaching all the way down for a low ground ball or a chopper mid or a high one, we'll come off that Z-axis and make those catches. So it really helps for a more efficient infield play, and it really helps, especially the newcomers to the game, feeling more comfortable and making it more accessible. And
nice. What about bloopers over the infield? Have we fixed that?
Oh yeah, that's another good one, Ramon. I'm glad you brought that up. That was always really frustrating for me. We always had problems making catches over the infielder's head. So specifically, like the middle infielders, when they're going back on little bloopers or Texas leaguers and they're trying to go back and make those catches, we just didn't have enough catches to facilitate. And hopefully you're seeing them as you watch during those videos, that we have a couple of examples of Tatis going back and making some really nice catches, and it just kind of demonstrates the new catches we have for the over-the-shoulder catch on bloopers. And you know, a lot of people complain also about, you know, weak contact getting hits. A lot of those hits are falling because we didn't have enough catches to play. But this year, that's different. So I think those numbers are going to come down a little bit on the weak contact. That'll make you happy, Ramon.
All right, we've talked a lot about fielding, but let's jump around a little bit and talk about some other new features that, you know, might not get a lot of love. I remember you telling me a few weeks ago that we did some things with catcher pop time. What's been done there?
Yeah, so the catcher pop time is super cool. You know, we always talk about making sure that defense matters, and the catcher specifically, we felt like we needed to do more with. There's a stat called pop time that's tracked. You can look it up online, and the catcher's pop time essentially is the time that the catcher catches the ball to the time that the middle infielder catches it down at second base. A good pop time for an MLB catcher is anything under 2 seconds. What you try to do when you're scouting players and teams and stuff like that is you try to look at the time that it takes for the pitcher to, out of the stretch, get the ball from the start of his delivery to the ball gets to home plate. And then you look at the catcher pop time, you add those together, and then you can tell if I should be stealing or not. I know that's a lot of information. The people in our game aren't going to be doing all this math. But what it does tell you in our game is the catchers that have the better pop times on average are going to be quicker. So they're going to have quicker feet, quicker hands, quicker exchange. They're going to get the ball down to second base. Now, arm strength for the catcher matters as well, and that will actually lift some of those catchers up a little bit on that scale. But for the most part, it's feet and hands in exchange. And so, yeah, we have those stats from the Major League catchers, and they are in the game this year. So super excited about that.
That's the new change to catcher pop times. I'm sure that's an addition everybody's going to be looking forward to. What's also changed is the throw accuracy meter. There's been a few changes there, right, Gil?
Yeah, we made some adjustments to the throw accuracy meter. Nothing's really changed as far as the mechanics go and the usability of it. All we did essentially was take the wild throws that are on each end of the throw accuracy meter, and we brought them in with the offline throws. The green section of the throw accuracy meter is not going to change. That's still going to scale based on the throw accuracy attribute of that fielder. But what is going to change now is that if you miss the green, it's going to be a little bit more intense. And because the throw accuracy meter is a more competitive gameplay mechanic, we wanted to throw in a little bit more nervousness when you're trying to do it, where if I miss that green, I have a chance of throwing the ball away. So we put the wild throws in with the offline. We changed the colors that were used to be yellow and red. We put them together and made like a light orangish color. Ramon, you know this. No one ever hit the red anyway.
Nobody ever hit the red. Yeah, like we're watching thousands of streams, looking at the data. Nobody ever hit the red. So this is a wonderful change.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, so anything else? We've talked about a lot. Let's button this up, Gil. Anything else you want to mention to everyone?
Well, there was one thing that I was just thought about. Actually, I had it written down here, and it was we resolved the issue online gameplay where you could do manual user cuts. So what that means is when you use the L2 button to cut the ball off in midair, you were never able to do that online before. I'm not sure a lot of people knew about that, but we were able to resolve that issue. And so this year we will have cutting the ball off online.
Well, that's great. I'm glad we finally fixed that. So we talked about it all. Outfield catches, what's been done in the infield, balls at the wall, new animations. There's over 1,000 new gameplay animations in MLB The Show 21. We've covered so much, but you know what? I think we should reveal the legend, Colin. Roll the video. Grady Sizemore joins the legend roster. Fuzzy, you can finally stop sending me text messages. Your guy, the Cleveland Stud, joins the roster. Last week was Alfonso Soriano. This week was Grady Sizemore. We've got way more legends to reveal. I want to thank game design director Chris Gill for joining us to talk about everything involving fielding. Make sure to tune in next week. We're going to talk about ball player and road to the show. Lots to learn. More episodes coming every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific. You can watch on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.